Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Moskalensky show, show numero 15. My phone, I'm going to try and mute the volume. So we got a normal show this time. I was a bit afraid that it would be a 2-hour unit. That was me glitching. Yeah, we've had some technical glitches today. It's kind of stinks, but hopefully things are gonna go well. I hope my spam call system's working. Definitely worked last time, but last time we didn't even have any attempts. At least not that I remember. So yeah, our first topic is going to be the Journal of the Survivor 2 charity event, we're going to be going into that first, and if we have any more time, we're just going to talk about Journal of the Survivor in general. I don't want to do another Q&A right now. I feel like I can do that at the end of the book, or like in between time, or maybe at the start of JOTS 3, something like that. But I just feel like even though I recently reached 150 entries, and by the way, everyone, thank you so much for your support. This is more on the book end, but thank you so much for your support on getting the Journal of the Survivor to 150 entries. Thank you. Thank you. I know I always sound sarcastic, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you. It's been an amazing ride. It feels like not too long ago I reached the big 50. Now we're at 150. This is insane. So next big goal is 200. Waiting for the old 2-0. I didn't really do any big celebrations for 250. For 150. I'm gonna do something for 200, and I'm gonna plan for 200 when I get to like the 180s. But I didn't really do anything for 150. I just kind of brought it up because 150 isn't the biggest milestone, not like 50, 100, or 200. So I figured, yeah, I want to bring it up because it's pretty cool, but not the end of the world. Anyway, so right now we're going to be talking about my charity event. To those of you who don't know, depending on the length of my books, I ordinarily have charity events in my books. And quick little announcement, I'm going to be talking about this on Google Plus as well. But quick little announcement. The fact, Journal of the Survivor 3 will have 2 charity events. Journal of the Survivor 2 will only have 1, the one that is currently ongoing. But my next book, the kind of Journal of the Survivor spinoff, that will not have any charity events. So just want to get that out of the way. It all kind of depends on the length of the books. I feel like Journal of the Survivor 3 is going to be pretty long, even longer than JOTS 2. JOTS 2 is going to be relatively long, considering we're almost already at 150 pages, and we're under half through. We're almost at half through, but we're under half through. But I feel like the spin-off book is just going to be too short to do a charity event. So that's my that's what I basically have to say regarding that matter, because that was a question. And don't worry, I'll add that to the Q&A section to those of you who already know. If you are already kind of like caught up on everything I'm pretty much doing, you really don't need to call in and talk about this or participate in Google Plus, or at least participate in the Q&A thing. I think everyone should be participating in the donating end of the stick, if you will. Because it's honestly a great cause. Whatever cause you support, as long as it abides by the rules. I'm not going to be going through all the rules. I kind of want to go over a summary once I'm done explaining like the background here, because the post itself is very long. Not to mention it has already it has one right now, but I'm going to add on a second Q&A thing. So yeah, that's where things are currently. But yeah, I like to do these charity events where people donate however much money they want to a certain cause, and that can get the odds of them getting a character in the book and a dedication at the end of the book, if they'd like to, increase substantially the more they donate. Typically, the Journal of the Survivor charity events have gone well in the past. Like, we already have one donor, but he only applied for 1 character slot, meaning there are 4 slots that are still completely wide open. I would not, well, I don't know what I'm saying again, but I would not recommend donating trivial amounts, because the odds of you losing are much higher. If you donate like in the cents, the odds of you losing are much higher than they would be otherwise. But obviously don't liquidate your bank account donating to this thing. I don't know why I'm umming so much today. I'm a bit loopy, actually, because real quick break from this section. I'd like to wish all of my friends, family, and so on happy Yom Kippur. Atonement Day, if you will. One of the things about that is that you don't eat. I've recently turned 13 years old, so I'm now going along with the tradition. I'm gonna try and be a better person. And happy Yom Kippur, everybody. But part of that is not eating for a day or drinking. No food or drink for an entire day. This started about, I think, 8 p.m. roughly last night, and it's gonna end about 7 p.m. tonight. So last night I stocked up like big time, like down to the minute kind of thing. Because I just want to like ensure that I could get this down. And we have, by the time the show's over, it'll be approximately 3 more hours before I can eat again. And trust me, it's just as hard not to think about as you'd think it would be. But anyways, back on the topic at hand, which is again the Journal of the Survivor charity event. And if anyone of you would like to call in and talk about that, ask questions and so on, the number is 719-284-5873 with the PIN 24777. Once again, the number is 719-284-5873 with the PIN 24777. So yeah, so that's basically the whole thing with the charity event, what it's for, and so on. Now I'm going to go through some rules regarding it. I actually have a fair amount of rules, which is why I decided not just to bring this up in the free-for-all, in which I have a couple things I'd like to talk about, assuming, of course, the callers don't want to talk about something else. But I figured like this, because it's very lengthy. I'm not going to go into everything. I'm just going to go into the core points. Because it's very lengthy. Terribly so. It's not like one of those triple entries I used to do, or I am doing in Journal Survivor, or the triple escapades I do in Hawker's Memoirs. Nothing insane like that. Because I have a life to an extent. But these are just kind of some of the ground rules. I will be including the Q&A in other charity events. I won't leave that as Q&A, like I'll actually involve it in the main post itself, but I will always have a Q&A open if there are any questions that I find valid, any questions or concerns that I find valid. The first point is the charity you donate to is your choice. And there are going to be about 6 points we go through, not including the Q&A. Again, if I have to cut short, that's fine, because all of this is on Google+. You go to Ben Moskalensky, you go to my Journal of the Survivor 2 account, boy, right there, everything you got to know. So yeah, the first thing is the charity you donate to is your choice. You can donate to pretty much any charity you want to, with a few exceptions, like political parties, like political events, or basically you cannot donate to some sort of a partisan group. If you want to donate to like a hospital, you want to donate to help African children, to our military, animal shelters, and so on, completely fine. I will take those donations, and you can donate to multiple charities as well. Fine with that. Feel free to do so. Completely open to it. And if you have any questions or concerns about like what specifically you want to donate to, just ask me. If it's not 100% crystal clear, I'll clear it up. Number 2, the amount of money you donate is up to you. You can, again, although I would not recommend paying tiny amounts of money, I would also not recommend liquidating your bank account, but there should be a certain amount that you want to pay. You should always keep in mind that I can only pick 5 winners. Not pick. There will only be 5 winners. So if you want to like get multiple characters, be cognizant of the fact that if you, let's say you donate $100 or $50, let's say $50. You donate $50, and you barely have enough to get, like, say, 3rd place. If you would have kept your money into one character, you could get that character in is 3rd place, but you might get kicked out because let's say you want 3 characters, you put 20, 20, 10, and all of those numbers are less than that of some competitors. You will be completely kicked out of the event. Of course, I will still thank you. It's not like you didn't donate enough, you idiot. I'm not going to do anything like that, of course, because if you donate any amount, in my view, thank you very much. It's very nice of you. And yes, if you're wondering, I have even participated in my own charity events. That is something I've done. I've done this for one of the Journal of the Survivor charity events, and I did it for the Hero of the First Islands charity event. And heck, I might do it for this charity event. I haven't decided yet. So no, I don't have to show myself proof because it's me. But yeah, so that's basically the amount of money you donate is up to you, and hopefully we'll have time to go into the whole thing with proof. Again, if not, you can check all of this out on Google+. Third point, you can donate via art. Yes, you can make fan art for me, and I will put a certain price on it. The amount I gauge is typically not worth much. Like, I don't think there's never been anything above 20 bucks. It's typically not worth more than 10 or 15. If you steal someone else's art, and I will be checking, and you can prove your innocence ahead of time by leaving a signature, I will block you, and you can never enter another charity event again, since that was malicious intent. But yeah, it's typically not worth much. There's a maximum of 3 fan art creations that you can give me, because you can't just like keep pumping them out and like keep getting your amount higher. 3 works of art per charity event maximum per person. So that's pretty much the art aspect of it. And I'm sure there are a ton of tiny little things that I overlooked, but I'm not going to account for those unless someone asks or unless the matter arises. Number 4 is the matter of proof. Like I said, you can't just donate with money. You have to prove it. Like, you can't say, oh, I donated $3 million to, I don't know, the Red Cross, as an example. You can't say you donated $3 million. What you can do is you have to send me, if it's a digital donation, you have to send me like a screenshot or a video of yourself donating. Obviously, in fact, I prefer it this way. You blur out your credit card info, and especially if you're planning on making it public. I will delete the comment. I'll still count the donation, but I will delete the comment as soon as I see it. If there's any public credit card info, it has to be something like, thank you blank for, like, thank you, I don't know, Joseph for donating $30 to the ASCPA or something like that, which I believe is the animal things. And I'm totally fine if you want to donate to them. They're great. If it's an IRL donation or an in real life donation, like you put money in a basket or something, or you give money to a homeless person or veteran, you need a video of yourself like giving whatever amount of money. You need to make it clear what amount of money you're giving. You can always donate more money. But if you do stuff like replicate or fake, like if I see any reason that it could be fake or replicated in any way, I will not ever allow you to go into any charity event again. So yes, you will need to show me some proof. You'll need to think of that ahead of time, because unless you're a personal, friend or family, I will not trust you if you say you donated X amount of money to X. You have to prove it. Then there's, of course, the limits. Again, you can have a maximum of 5 characters. Or I'm sorry, I only have 5 character slots per charity event. Meaning you can, like, let's say you donate an absurd amount of money. Like, you donate $6,000, and you have 5 cool character ideas. You want to divide it up equally. $1,800 per character. Assuming nobody has donated more than $1,800, you're going to get your character in, all of them. And I will work with you on that. Again, it can be either 1 to 5 characters, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 characters, and you will divide up your earnings. That's something I'll ask you, and I'll ask for like final, all that sort of stuff. I'll work that out if you actually make it, and I'll let you know if you'll make it. So that's that. Again, there are certain limitations when it comes to like art, how much you can donate with art. The first and second place winners of this charity event will get major characters. Third place kind of gets an in-between character, like either major for a while or minor for not so long. Fourth and fifth place just get minor characters. I'd like to go into the Q&A, but I can't, sadly, and there's actually one more thing I want to talk about. Maybe if we have time during the free-for-all section, I'll bring that up. Actually, I'll do that as the first thing for the free-for-all section if there's nothing else going on. But that concludes this segment. If anyone would like to call in for our next segment, which is going to be Star Trek, the number is 284-5873 with the pin 24777. I know Sammy rags on me both digitally and in real life about the fact that I say this number too much, although very rarely because she's a very nice person. But I know I say this number a lot, but I want to make sure people get it. Once again, if you'd like to call into the show, talk about the topic at hand if you're within the age parameters, the number is 719-284-5873 with the pin 24777. Now we are moving on to our I'm getting way ahead of myself. We're moving on to our second segment, which is once again going to be Star Trek. I typically do not like to repeat topics unless it's like a extremely developing story or something like that. Because I know last time I did in fact do a Star Trek segment. But I wanted to do it again because I wanted to talk about my hopes and expectations immediately before Star Trek Discovery, the pilot of it, came out, and immediately after the fact. Which is, well, not immediately, because I do these shows every week, and I did it one day before the episode came out. So it's not immediately, but fairly fresh in my mind. My opinions about Star Trek Discovery are fairly fresh. Now here's the thing. If you're kind of actually, my friend Sammy's a perfect example. She's kind of in the middle in when it comes to Star Trek. She doesn't hate it. She doesn't really like it. She said she'd be willing to watch Star Trek Discovery, but she's not going to jump onto it like some fat 35-year-old, actually no, fat like 85-year-old with trying to pretending to be Leonard Nimoy. She's not exactly like that, but she's kind of in the middle. If you're a person like that who's not a diehard fan, but doesn't necessarily hate it, I would not recommend Star Trek Discovery. I talked about my fears, and I was right. It was nowhere near as PC as I thought it would be, which is actually one thing I got to give it points to. But it's the same problem that the prequels had. And I actually I'm not sure if I talked about this, but I know I talked about it with friends and family. And I think I brought it up online as well somewhere. But I had a bad feeling. I probably jinxed it. Now I'm going to get a bunch of hate because of the fact that I probably jinxed it. But this is the thing that I find it just absurd to me. That they made this mistake with the prequels. But with the prequels, like, they didn't know it was a mistake at the time. They thought making it all futuristic, sci-fi, whatever, more so than the originals would make it better, even though it was in the past. Discovery doesn't have, and I'm not saying I'm not going to let the prequels go soft-free, even though I think like something like episode under 3 is underrated. I'm not letting the prequels go. The prequels were generally not that hot, especially episode 1 and 2, especially episode 2. But like Star Trek Discovery gets no pass in my view because the prequels, Star Wars prequels, made this exact same mistake. Star Trek Discovery has all these amazing graphics. Like they have like and by the way, they actually kind of ripped this off from Star Wars, the new version of Warp. It looks like, not Warp, as in the travel thing, this light speed travel, or in some cases faster than light speed travel. It looks like the ship phasing in from like Clone Wars and many other Star Wars things. It looks exactly like it. It seems like they stole it right from them. That kind of like fast blinking motion where it's kind of there, takes a second to secure itself and it's gone, rather than like a fluid transition like how Star Trek used to be. They kind of stole it right from Star Wars. Everything is more futuristic, but they completely forgot some things. Like, as an example, let me go back to my first point about it being way too futuristic. This is 10 years before the original. I don't know why I said Enterprise. Enterprise is way before any of it. This is 10 years before the Star Trek, the original series. Why do the Klingons look so cool? I mean, at least technology-wise, the Klingons are nowhere near as sophisticated as they used to be. At least I got that down. But they seem so much more advanced. I mean, what's the deal with that? And like the holograms and everything. Speaking of Star Wars ripoffs, like everything, both Enterprise and everywhere else, or not Enterprise, both the ship and pretty much everything else, it seems so much more advanced. And I'm not saying they should like get the 1950s graphics, go back 10 years really. I'm just saying that they should not improve on the graphics that much. Make HD better. Make some things a bit cooler. Get some new species. Fine. But are you kidding me? The Klingons de-evolved like 10 years ago? Are you kidding me? I mean, how can you believe that? That's one of the things. Like, I mean, if this wasn't Star Trek, I wouldn't be quite as mad. But like, they had everything going for them, and they just totally screwed it up. I mean, you look at the captain as an example. The captain is just such a weak character. Whereas, and then they have this first officer who's fantastic. I love that first officer. Like, the only good cast member in the show is that first officer. She's great. Why is this captain? Why is this captain? It seems like the first officer is doing a generally better job. Then again, though, the Starfleet and the Federation have some generally questionable morals. And people always like it when I do those theory things. Like people liked it when I did the Star Wars ones on this show. So maybe I'll do a Star Trek one talking about my quorums with the Federation. But that's a separate thing. You know, that's an entirely different topic. If you guys would be interested, please let me know. But yeah, that's the first. Those are the first two things. Another thing that I know, this is a smaller point compared to like the two really big kind of elephant in the room things that I just brought up, but you look at just the general cat. Wow, we're getting a lot of viewers. Sorry, real quick, it just that we're just getting a lot of viewers. Wow, the spam thing worked. I just kicked off my first spam caller. Huh. System works. And again, if we are not taking spam calls at this time, if you were wondering, we're not taking any spam callers. So I'm on the lookout right now. So far, the system's worked. We got rid of our first spam caller. Quick round of applause. Quick round of applause for that. Very happy to hear. And that person just called back. Totally fine. They say something for like half a nanosecond. Then I boot them from the call immediately. Perfect. But the thing that just floors me about Star Trek Discovery is, where is the Spock Data-esque character? Where? I mean, they have this kind of like, I even forgot the name of that guy. That's how forgettable he is. This kind of interesting, weird-looking, kind of alien scaredy cat, pretty much. It's like a lamb. I think it's actually how to describe, like, smells fear. That's the closest thing they have to a real thing. Anyways, we have a caller right now. Hello, caller. What's your name?
My name is Hitler.
All right. Looks like we got some more spam callers coming in. We're gonna come off the air for a bit because typically, like, the system can't handle that many people. But it actually was working. One person sneaked through for like half a second, but that was really it. I mean, this is a good system. I genuinely think it's working. And yes, we will be going back at some point soon, which I want to bring up. So I'm just going to have them keep calling that number till they get frustrated. Now, this is my main problem with Star Trek Discovery, is the fact that it just does not feel like a Star Trek overall. I don't want to be too critical on it. I mean, I don't think it's terrible. I watched like some of the episodes. Look at Deep Space Nine. I used to be a huge advocate for Deep Space Nine in like the first 3 episodes. Then they kind of completely ruined it later on. I mean, there were still some good episodes, but I just stopped watching after like the first, I don't know, 10-ish, something like that, 15 episodes. Because, I mean, the first few episodes were exceptional, especially the pilot. That thing was amazing. And then it feels like they just completely dropped it off. And that's the thing about Discovery too. I just don't see it going anywhere. DS9 had potential, it just didn't exploit it. Whereas I feel like this isn't going anywhere. I mean, I feel like it's just not going to go anywhere. I know I keep kind of repeating myself, but I mean, I just see no real substance to Star Trek Discovery. I feel like they wanted to get some money, and they decided, hey, money plus Star Trek equals money, right? So there we go. But yeah, it's like this one character. I'm actually going to look up the Star Trek Discovery cast right now. Not cast, Star Trek Discovery characters. And by the way, if you disagree with me, please feel free to comment. Sadly, right now you can't come in because I'm working on kind of filtering it out. And it looks like it's working. Looks like the spam viewers are leaving. We still got some views. We got a couple views still, but looks like the spam viewers are dropping off, which is good. But we got some. Well, that was kind of weird. Someone interesting. That was interesting. Someone just tried to comment. A legit person though in the middle since they couldn't call in. Yeah, I'm very sorry about that. I'm really sorry that you can't do it right now. Just the system can't handle. It can handle like one person at a time. It can't handle two or more. But this is my thing. This is my point with Star Trek Discovery. This is my quorum. Yeah, that's the word, quorum. Is the fact that it simply doesn't feel like a Star Trek in any way. And it honestly just ruins it. I mean, what real positives were there about Star Trek Discovery? Yeah, okay, it was a bit interesting. Like the concept was a bit interesting, like with the Klingon ship being like made of caskets. I thought that was an interesting idea. But that's one thing. And then, is there another? Can you think of another? Because I certainly can't. It just overall a generally not fun experience, and that's what Star Trek's meant to be. It's meant to be a deep, interesting experience. And I feel like I just feel like Star Trek Discovery does not live up to that unbelievable standard. But then again, it's very hard to live up to the standard. I wouldn't be so mad if Discovery was okay or good. It just wasn't. It was just mediocre at best. Anyways, it seems for some reason I can't pull it up right now. But anyways, at one point, this one character, very interesting. He looked like a human shrimp. Very kind of interesting, unique design. He pulls up and he or no, sorry, I don't know why I'm saying pulls up. The first officer talks to him. Like he says that he's sensing. He says that his species are like a species of lamb. They've evolved over time to understand what death is, or like to feel when death is coming. And he said now he feels like death is coming. I mean, are you kidding me? Is this supposed to live up to like Spock, Data? Not even anything like Data. Like this is the show's equivalent, or even Odo. Odo from this from this I don't know why I keep saying Discovery, from Deep Space Nine. I mean, even Odo. Anyways, looks like the spam callers are back at it again, but it's not working right now. The system it was down for just a second there. I kind of like let it alone, but no, it's back up now, and all the spam callers are being filtered out. So we're good. Don't worry, guys. That one person slipped through. I got that number, blocked it. He's out. Dunzo. I'm not sure how quite it happened, but that person's not going to get through again. But this is the thing that completely floors me. It's so inept overall. At least not inept in terms of the show itself, but inept in terms of how they orchestrated it, or at least how much time they had. If this was something new, they're trying something new, I wouldn't be quite as disappointed, if you will. Yeah, I wouldn't say I really hate Star Trek Discovery. I think hate is an over-exaggeration, but it just doesn't live up to the standard of Star Trek. Because I mean, hate is a really strong word. Like you use hate in terms of something you severely dislike, such as spam callers. If you guys are listening, I hate you. But or something just truly evil, something you completely down to your core hate. Just thinking about it, even not even like talking about it or anything, just thinking about it, you just disdain. That's not what I get with Star Trek Discovery. I don't think Star Trek Discovery is terrible, but I feel like CBS has to kind of tone it down. I feel like the actors and everything, they need to tone it down and kind of go back to more of the mold. It's actually like the opposite problem that episode 7, The Force Awakens. I feel like it's kind of the opposite problem. And I mean, you can't go too far in one direction or the other, or else it's not going to work. It would typically be at this point that I give away the number, but again, right now we're trying to We're trying to filter out spam callers. We do have some technical difficulties. Trying to work on something right now as I'm doing this. Yo, this is okay. Sorry about this. Interesting. Sorry. Anyways, back to it. Right now, we're in our free-for-all section. I wanted to talk about. I really want to keep it lighthearted this time because I'm tired. And one thing I'd like to talk about is the fact that right now I'm rewatching Next Generation. I love that show. I love that show. But it's just amazing to me how good it was. This is honestly one of the things I really wanted to talk about was just how stellar it was. I mean, even the pilot. You watch the pilot with Q. I love that thing. You want to know the only thing better than Next Gen's pilot? The finale. Unbelievable. No one talks about it. It's amazing. I mean, if you're looking for some good Star Trek stuff, Star Trek Next Generation finale. Go over to Netflix. Go over to Star Trek Next Generation. On Netflix, got to go over to Netflix, and then you got to click on season 7. Go all the way to the very end. Watch Star Trek season 7, last episode. Absolutely incredible. Well, not actually, no, sorry, not last episode. Second to last, because last episode is like a talk with the cast kind of thing. I've never really been a fan of those, but yeah, I've never been a big fan of those. So I mean, that's just me. Maybe it is interesting. Maybe there's some extra stuff that would have been cool to know, but it's frankly just not for me. And if you're a fan of just the pure content, that's very good. Just check it out. It's really good. Very nice. Again, we are now in our free-for-all section. So if anyone would like to comment, via comments or anything, let me know your opinions on what's going on right now. Please feel free to do so. Again, right now the lines are down because we're filtering out spam callers, but they'll disappear eventually. I know they will. They're gonna get sick of the fact that I'm not replying to them, and they're just gonna go away to some whatever dark dwelling they dwell in. But the other thing I want to talk about is the finishing up of the Journal of the Survivor 2 charity event. And since we have time, I can actually just read out the whole ending of it, and maybe we can get started on the last segment early. And now I'm just going to read over this whole last segment and Q&A. I'm not going to cut corners anymore, since again we completely have the time. So number 6, because I brought up 5 points earlier, which were limits, proof. You can donate via art, donate whatever amount of money you want to, and choice of charity. The 6th thing is I can refuse your donation if I want to. I don't mean I'm not going to accept you because of the way you look or something. I mean, if you are being annoying or I can't work with you, I don't care who you are. I will count your donations as a mute point, and you will be replaced with whoever is next in line. If you break the rules, if you are hard to work with, if you have an idea for a character which I cannot work with and you refuse to change, I can say no to you. I am in control. But if you follow the rules and if you are relatively flexible, I see no reason why this can't work out. And again, if you have any questions about this charity event, please let me know. It'll expire around the time when entry 173 comes out. I cannot tell you exactly when that is because I myself do not know when that is, because I'm kind of working on Journal of the Survivor 2 as I feel like working on it. Although there probably will be updates as we come closer. I'm probably not going to stay completely silent until the night of entry 172. My guess is by the time we come within 5 or 10 entries, I can give you a rough estimate. But for the time being, I mean, I'm not even done with entry 151. Give me some time here. Anyways, currently the only I've been asked 2 questions, but only one of which is currently up on the Q&A. The other of which I addressed earlier in the segment. So the other question, the real question right now up on the Q&A is, could you summarize what this charity event is for? From Anonymous. To which I reply, it's to get your characters in Journal of the Survivor 2, and other Journal of Survivors possibly. I will work with you on making one or several, depending on how many you decide to make. And that character will then be implemented in the books. If you'd like to, you can have you can have a dedication in the book. I'm of course not going to update it right now with the latest Q or A, because, well, I'm live on the show right now. But I will be addressing that soon. There is a link in the description of this video linking you to the event. Why am I saying event? Linking you to the post with all the details. Again, you can share with me your info via, not your info, you can share with me your proof via comments of a YouTube video. You can make a private post with me. You can try to open a chat with me. Whatever floats your boat, kind of a thing. Anyways, with our free-for-all section now undergoing, and we're still kicking out spam callers, we are now going to be working. We're now going to kind of get an early start on my funny stories thing. But before I do that, I just like to talk about something. Now, this section was not very popular. That's because it was something new, or at least I think it was because it was something new. I'm not 100% sure, so I'm going to give it one more shot. If things don't work out today, unless there's popular demand, I'm never going to do this again. If people still, I feel like people are going to get adjusted to it. I'll see whether or not I'm right or wrong, but I have a feeling I'm going to be right. I feel like I'm going to be doing more of these because people generally like this. So I feel like it'll be kind of a nice thing. But right now I'm just going to kind of read off some of my. Actually, this is basically what the rest of the show is going to be. I'm just going to read off my crazy life story stuff. And I'm actually going to be updating this soon, talking about my camp story. To those of you who don't know, over the summer, I went to my first 2 camps, one of which was an ordinary 3-hour-a-day, 1-week camp, which was like, the ordinary baby kind of stuff. The other of which was an overnighter. That's the very interesting one, which I will be going into. But for the time being, we have 1, 2, 3 stories to share. We have the SeaWorld story, my first prom story, which I assure you there's not going to be any boring romantic gushy stuff, and then the Tulip Festival story, all of which are very interesting. We're going to go in chronological order, which means we will be starting with the SeaWorld story. Tuesday, December 23rd, 2014. While I listened to the baited podcast, and again, I'm reading right from it. I assure you that right now I'm not listening to Keemstar. While I listened to the baited podcast, let me tell you a much older story. Without all the flash and dash, let's just get into it. Surprisingly, not obese me and the rest of the family were on vacation in San Diego. I've been there twice so far, first and last time. I'm not saying I didn't like it. In fact, I even liked going to SeaWorld on the whole. They had great food, friendly people, amazing attractions, and so on. Except for the fact that I said on the whole. We specifically remembered which aisle we parked in, F5. At least I thought that's what it was. I mean, now I think that's what it was. At the time, I didn't know. No, I can't English today. I'm very hungry. What I mean is now I don't remember 100%, but at the time I was positive. The reason I'm saying this now is because it'll be significant later. After a long and tiring journey, we got our tickets and entered the realm. It was beautiful. The dead skin eaters were ticklish. Everything was amazing for those first couple of hours. I didn't really clarify here. The dead skin eaters, I'm not referring to zombies. I'm referring to little tiny fish near the entrance right after you get checked in. There are these little tiny fish where if you put your hands in the water, they will eat off the dead skin, but they don't have teeth. So there's just like a gentle little like hissing, kind of like sucking noise. And the more dead skin you have, the more they'll want to eat. They never bite, never hurts. In fact, the most harm it'll do is be kind of ticklish. And it is a bit creepy when they kind of swarm onto your hands. That's definitely a scary one. And I'm almost positive my hand got slightly thinner after that experience. Now, most of the events of the day happened during the evening/night, except the incident with my sister. I love my mom and sister, but they aren't anywhere near as adventurous as Dad and I. So they did most of the more tame activities, and Dad and I did most of the more exciting ones. Keyword being most. My dad and I despised roller coasters. In contrast, my sister and mom loved them. The way I remember it, my dad and I were kind of tired and wanted to go eat crepes. So Rita, my sister, went with my mom onto a coaster, and my dad and I ate crepes. My mom came back about 10 minutes later and asked, "Where's Rita?" Dad replied, "I thought she was with you." I lost track. There we go. So my mom started. Well, we all basically started looking. Sorry to break script here, but we all basically started looking for her. Um, and soon enough, we found her. Everything was fine. But that was kind of a scary experience. And we still to this day do not know who Rito is actually supposed to be with to this very day. Um, so several hours later, we went and saw the manta ray together. The manta ray, like everybody, and this specific kind of manta ray, was split. The blue end, wait, the manta ray. Oh, the manta ray liked, I misspelled. The manta ray liked everybody. And this specific kind of manta ray was split. The blue end, the top side, was fine. The white end, the bottom side, could give a small shock. It liked everyone except me. Every time I tried to pet it, I'd move its wing, arm, things up, and shock me. This was not a coincidence. People started shifting, I shifted, the guard showed me how to do it, my hands were washed multiple times, people my age did it, and I was touching it softer than most people did. Immediately after that fiasco, we went to the shark exhibit. Now, this isn't much of a story, more of an experience, and to those of you who went to that amazing place, you know what I mean. Everyone went through this, but it was still terrifying. It's like a straightaway conveyor belt. At first, you see nothing, and ahead you can only see more of the strip that's moving you forward. Then you are surrounded by glass, and you see fish and coral, a natural environment underwater. Then you enter another black part for 5 or 10 seconds. Then the next several minutes, almost 5 minutes, are spent with sharks, hammerheads, tigers, maybe even a baby great white. Yes, that was scary, and I was 10. Which leads to the relevance of F5. By the time we went back after a couple more exhibits after the shark, it was pretty much pitch black outside. We had a fairly modern rental, 2011 or 2010, I think. So we make our way over to F5 and Dad honks the horn. Nothing. So he pushes harder. Still nothing. So then debate starts, and we agree to go to G5, then F6. We still hear nothing after multiple hard honks. The keys were pretty new and had used them, and I misspelled again. And we had used them only hours earlier, so they weren't shot. So we kept walking and walking and honking and honking and honking. After about an hour, a truck comes by and asks us if we want a lift. My dad hops in and tells us to stand by since there wasn't enough room in the truck for everybody at the time. An hour and a half. We stood for an hour and a half and got a checkup every 40 or 50 minutes. It may have been two more hours we were standing. My dad's phone was dead and my mom's was on 6%. We agreed once it reached 4%, we'd get an Uber. We had done everything we could entertainment-wise, so we decided to just walk. We had walked an entire 10 meters when we saw it. The car in F5, exactly where we thought it was. Then Mom called Dad over with the last of her battery power, and we figured out why the horn didn't work. You need to hold it. So because of crappy manufacturing, my legs almost gave out. So that's the SeaWorld story, and hopefully we'll have enough time to do the other two. Or I'm sorry, other way around. I'm sure we'll have enough time to do the other two. It just hopefully we won't run out of time. Starting to get some spammers in the comments. That's interesting. Yeah, there's only one thing you can do about that. Either turn off comments or delete them. No one has ever been able to think of anything more than that, but I'm okay with just deleting them because we don't get enough. If we got a ton, then I wouldn't be quite as mad. Because if we got a ton of spammers, then we'd also get a ton, even more so, of normal people. But since we have few normal people, we have fewer spammers, so that it makes it really easy for me to just delete the idiots. Anyways, we're now going to be moving on to our second story as we kind of wrap up this free-for-all section. Since the spammers seem to be kind of hogging this show, I believe I will not turn on calls for the rest of the show. We did get some genuine callers. Well, very few. But for the time being, we're good. It's not like we have low callers on the show. We've been getting all kinds of people on the show, both good and bad, and I'm very happy about that. Anyways, our next story is going to be the Tulip Festival story. Saturday, April 22nd, 2017. My dad and I left our house at about 1 p.m. to go to a tulip festival. This place had some of the best flowers, possibly in the entire state. We were supposed to be in the town at 2 or 2:30. We got there after 3. We went a slower way, I don't know why I said don't regret it, and we didn't regret it. We entered the backwater town called Rosengard. At this point, it was about 2:30, and we needed to step in somewhere to go. Um, the best place we could find in the area was a pet shop. I'd like to say for every 10 houses, there was one building that wasn't a house. I'm not saying for every 10 houses there was a store, just one building that isn't a house. The amount of houses and the lack of places to go in the town is something else. Now, neither of us were aware of this simplistic, yet absolutely epic town as of yet, or at least not aware of its awesomeness. So the first thing that happened was we entered the shop and made our way to the men's room. Now, typically in pet shops, you see people with pets. Have you ever been on your way to the men's or to the women's room and seen a vet working on a dog right by your door? Neither did I before today. And you see, when I wrote this, it was actually on the day. I actually wrote this when I came home on Saturday, April 22nd. Even though I was exhausted at the end of this, and you'll see why I'm exhausted. It's not like the entirety of this story is going to be in the pet store. If anything, only like 30%, 30 to 40%, 50 at the most, even involves the pet store. Where were we? Oh yes. After we got out, there was a different dog, and on our way out, a bird flew by me. I don't mean a bird rattled in a cage. It actually flew by me. They were letting birds from the outside into the store and letting them fly around. The first normal thing about this store were the cages with all kinds of cool, different baby chicks in them. And I believe I have pictures and videos on my Instagram account. If not, I believe I've shared them publicly in some way or another, and I'm sure my dad has. There were 8 cages, and 3 kinds of cool, different baby chicks in them. Again, there were 8 cages. 3 were jam-packed. 4 of them had descriptions. 2 with birds in them. 2 with no birds. But the best part was the first cage. The first cage had nothing but a sock in it. I'm not kidding. You know the things you're wearing on your feet right now? At least I am. Mismatched ones, but that was in a bird cage with nothing else. That was one of the ones with descriptions. As I turned to leave after finishing recording, a dog lunged at me. Luckily, it was on a leash. Now, you may think the fun is over, but no, children. We're just starting. And again, we've only finished like the first third of this. Now, the second third is the shortest third, I'd say. Yeah. But I'd say the last part is probably my favorite. So then we arrive at the actual festival with the line larger than Humongous's belly. And come on, you know I had to make that analogy. This would not be a Ben Moskalensky meme if it didn't have humongous. Let's be real. Let's be real here, people. Finally, after 15 or so minutes of waiting, we get in. Beautiful lines of reds, whites, yellows, pinks, purples, etc. with mixtures, blends, solos, duos, trios, lines, rows, everything imaginable. Most people, including 2 gentlemen, one of which who looked like the wall of China, the other one who looked like they had just swallowed it, admire the outstanding spectacle and take pictures. I, for some reason, don't feel awkwardness. Practically never do I feel it. At least not the strain of cringe you're about to think about. So instead of enjoying the spectacle, my dad gets out a camera and records me running through the crowds of innocent men, women, and children as I pretend to be Naruto. And yes, I do the arm thing as well. If you were wondering, I do the crouch and the arm thing. I don't just run with my head down. And yes, I did the anime run through lines of people. I got some beautiful stares. Then we eat. We wanted to eat at Santa Fe, but it was too far. By the way, if you guys are looking for a good restaurant, I mean, since this is like one of the weirdest, most funny kind of loose sections I've ever had, if you guys are looking for a nice restaurant to go to, I'd highly recommend checking out Santa Fe Mexican Grill in Kirkland. I know it sounds like a paid promotion, but trust me, if I had a sponsor, that would be awesome. But no, they're just like my favorite restaurant right now. I love them so much. Their food's amazing every time. So we went to eat at a nearby crepe/chowder place. And I know how weird that sounds. It's not like it was a crepe place next to a chowder place. It was basically one area. I'm not going to say one place, but you'll see why in a second. But it's basically one area that serves chowder and crepes. The place was outside and owned by a short lady who reminded me of my social studies and English teacher. Very strict, no crap kind of lady. That is no longer true, but continuing, I lost my stuff. There we go. They even look kind of similar. Now, I have nightmares about two things before I go to bed. Not only was it the best chowder I've ever eaten in my entire life, but also the best. What? Oh, sorry, I said it wrong. Now I have nightmares about two things. I said I have nightmares about two things. I meant now I have nightmares about two things before I go to bed. Not only was it the best chowder I've ever eaten my entire life, but also the best crepe I'd ever eaten. And if they're on the off chance that my grandpa is listening, who makes some outstanding crepes, you take second place. I still love you very much. And near the only table was an honest chicken, a genuine chicken, untrained, unchained, just walking around. A couple was sitting at the table. At the table you now see, and I have pictures. I always provide pictures. And they kept feeding it in fear. I kept eyeing him/her, being the chicken, 95 to 300% sure it was the Illuminati. The place is outside, as in two connected tents. So I received my chowder at the front end, away from the chicken. Thing is, I had to go around from the tent to get the crepe in. To get the crepe. As in, I had to stand still next to the hungry chicken with a tiny bit of spilled chowder on my shirt and a crepe in my hand. The untrained, unchained chicken that left the couple and stood next to me for nearly half a minute. It didn't try anything. Afterwards, I loved the chicken. The lady convinced me the chicken wouldn't hurt me, and she was right. And since I never caught the chicken's name, I called it Gregory, like Gregory Peck. Thing is, though, Gregory doesn't eat by pecking. He sweeps his head. You know that kind of thing you see in cartoons where they sweep their head across the ground? Kind of funny stuff? Yeah, something like that. That was between 12:52 p.m. and 5:36 p.m. of my life today. What were you doing with yours? And if you have any cool stories, please let me know. If you like this section, I'll be doing it again. And when we don't get spam callers, and I don't have to temporarily shut down the show's streaming capabilities, I will be taking your calls. So make sure you call in and talk about that stuff, because it's honestly really interesting. Anyways, just enough time, 8 minutes left in the show, to talk about my prom story. And if I left anything out of here, I should be able to talk about it. And with the amount of time I have left, I think it'll be okay if I end the show early, since lately I've been having a couple of minute extensions. But either way, after this, I will be ending the show, regardless of when the story ends. Could be a bit late, could be a bit early. I'm ending after this. Anyways, my first prom story. Friday, June 2nd, 2017. Yes, I know I've been inactive, but I've got at least one more story which should be coming soon, and it's nowhere near as recent. Anyways, let's get into it. And I'm telling you these in the order of which they happened. Like the whole thing with SeaWorld took place when I was a 10-year-old. This Tulip Festival story took place in April. This took place in June. I am not telling you these in the order I actually wrote them in. Despite what was said again and again and again, there were several slow dances. And if you weren't dancing with anyone, you looked awkward as heck. Now, I've never really danced with a woman. If you want to count me at age 3 dancing with my mother to Hey Dreidel while running around on the ground like a drunk dog, then I suppose you could consider it to be the second time I was supposed to dance with a woman. And by woman, I basically mean girl. I know I kept saying woman, girl. A majority of the songs were solos, but 2 were slow. They didn't let me, they didn't let you leave during the slow song, but both times I was outside. The place itself kind of looked like a much smaller White House with a huge backfield. We came right before 7:30 p.m. and it was supposed to start then. Now, there are only 2 girls roughly my age who I tolerate. My sister isn't one of them. Sorry, sis. And oddly enough, they both have the same first name. And I'm not about to make some joke where, get it, it's one person. It actually is 2 people with the same first name. Well, they didn't even let us in the building until 8:10 or so to actually eat. In the meantime, I did what I always do, talk in great excess. And anyone listening to this show, even if this is the first show you've ever listened to, and by the way, tell me if you like this show. This isn't one of my best shows, but yeah, it isn't my worst either. Since we could kick off spam callers, definitely not my worst. Tell me what you think of this show as a first timer. But if you're not a first timer, you know I can talk in great excess. There were many people I did know, and one girl who I haven't seen in ages, since the end of 5th or mid-6th grade. She was sort of like a childhood crush. She crushed all my feelings, and she crushed me in almost every kind of competition, be it the few physical I could do, and the many more mental. She wasn't really a bully. She was more like Satan to me. Now, the event said semi-formal, and I was the only boy who applied to that rule. Caleb, a friend of mine, was dressed like he was going to a fairly nice restaurant, not on a date, by himself. One of the boys in the picture, again, that has been shown, the one with the fedora, was dressed similar. But of course, his outfit is considered S tier in Smash 4, like Luigi, because of the fedora. Understandable, understandable. Now, the other boys, the first two I saw upon very odd arrival, had fine, silk Italian suits, one red, one green. They had matching pants and shoes, white shirts, and even correctly colored ties. They even had the rose in the pocket with the bow tie, and that was the right color. And even that was the right color. They weren't dressed for prom. They were dressed for one of the most elaborate weddings of all time. Sorry for that thump. I wanted to make a point, and it was way louder than I thought. And I'm a very hands-on person when I talk. I mean, I've lately been doing a lot less due to the fact that I'm doing the show where there is no visual, which might change at some point, actually. Depends on, well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if people want visual. But it's still going to be like a primarily audio show. But for the time being, we're going to keep it all audio. But I am still a hands-on kind of person when I talk. I do a lot of hand motions. You can't exactly hear them because, can you hear this? Of course you can. That's a hand motion. You can't hear that unless it's like a clap. I was actually semi-casual. I had fairly nice black pants, a very clean, brand new white shirt, and a thin black jacket with nice normal sneakers. I'm actually posting all the pics and videos from prom on my Instagram. Now, I wanted to pick with some guys, and the only guy I really knew, who was there with the brother of the girl I wanted to ask to dance with. Not to date, not to kiss, to dance with. Because, again, no. Many people make jokes about that in movies, in real life, in shows. This isn't Stranger Things. That's my only real complaint with Stranger Things. No one has love interests at the age of 10. I mean, I'm 13 and I don't. So there you go. Well, as I said, he looked crap. So I got Fedora God, number 583,042, the brother, and most likely, wait, no, sorry, wrong part. Okay, sorry. But I wanted it with one other nice looking fellow, just the Fedora guy. I kind of rambled on at that point, so we're gonna skip that part. But not someone like the first two guys I mentioned, to the point where they just take over the pick. So I picked the guy with the big black bow tie you see now. And by the way, he was dressed like Mad Hatter. He looked awesome. He even looks a bit like Mad Hatter. Person who was at prom, who I had a picture with, who you took the camera from me. You know who you are. You look. Your Mad Hatter was fantastic, man. So I picked the guy with the big black bow tie you see now, which by the way he changed out to red later. And by the way, I have no idea how he did it. He was like always within sight. I don't know how he had time to take off his bow tie, put it back on. Sorry, I am tired. Now, since he was the tallest, he got to be in the middle, and I'm a pretty tall guy. This guy, we'll call him Larry. Larry is in 9th grade, 2 years older than me. I had to tiptoe and grab his shoulder just so I wouldn't be completely obscured. Although, in my defense, he did try to obscure me purposefully with my own camera. And by the way, at one point, I just kind of want to add this on as an extra. They started playing "Never Gonna Give You Up." We don't talk about that anymore. I have some of the best video footage that you will ever know. Anyways, at one point I did have to go inside, like right after the slow dance. Because typically after the slow dance, I'm gonna go off from the script here a bit since I just keep rambling. Perfect timing to end, by the way. But real quick, last thing, I typically like to stay outside during that prom, because there's like a big back area. Um, I like to stay outside it so I could stay away from slow dance in case they're like 2 for 1. I dropped that rule as soon as a bat flew like a meter away from my face. I'm not kidding. Bats started flying, and one of them like flew like a meter in front of me. I mean, that was crazy. But shortly afterwards, my dad came, picked me up. It was honestly a real blast. So that again, if you like this general kind of section, please let me know. Hope you'll have a great day. I'm gonna go relax now. I'm very tired.